Hi again, witchy people. I know that I did a quick video on wand making, and I realised there was quite a lot I left out. So I thought I would finish off, because I do these ones differently. I thought I would do one of these, a bit of this on camera. And of course you can see this one's already had a lot done to it, so I'll explain what's been done. This is pine, and it's red pine from a place in the New Forest called Deerleap. And it has been, the bark's been removed. It was dried first. That's the first thing, and I keep on forgetting to mention that. It's dried first, so all the wood has been dried. Then the bark has been taken off. Then all the knobbly bits, so all the extra bits have been taken off, so you can see here, like extra twigs and branches and stuff has been taken off. Right, the next thing to do is decide whether or not you're going to carve anything into the wood. Now this is, I've done it once before, and I have just finished doing 3 more, and I've done, there we go, trying to get some light on here. The light in this room is terrible. So, and I've done a few wand guardians, so they're just little faces that are carved into the wood, like little bearded men faces, and I've done 3 more of those. Now, after, I have to say this, I don't know if you'll be able to pick this up. Can you see this? Whether this has been an insect that's burrowed into the wood or a parasitic plant, I don't know, but I think that's gorgeous. Anyway, if you carve anything into the wood, first of all I'd suggest find some, if you've never done it before. Having the right tools helps. When I do my carvings, it's all been put away. All I have is a small box knife and blisters. This is the reason why my hands are so red, is because I've been working with them today. And I carved these today. So all I have is a box knife, and I do all my carving with a box knife. This is not advisable at all, in the least. So don't do it. Okay, but when you've done your carving, seal it. Seal the carving before you do anything else. Okay, so this is, pine is really, really lightweight. I compared it to much smaller pieces of other wood, and pine is lighter, much, much lighter, because it is quite, it's not a dense wood. You can see here, it's not dense at all. Okay, so it's been dried, it's had the bark taken off, it's had the knobbly bits taken off. As much as I want, I like a lot of knobble left on my wood. I think it gives it character. The carving has been done. If you want, before you do the carving, by the way, you have to decide which is going to be the handle and which is going to be the tip. Okay, and of course the rule of thumb is usually the handle's the wider part and the tip is the thinner part. Like I say, I like knobbly wood, so I keep a lot of the knobbles on. So the bit that's been done here, especially on pine, the other thing I would suggest is, if you're going to start carving and you've never done it before, don't start with pine. It's not the easiest wood to carve because it splinters and flakes. So it is really difficult to control what you're taking off and what you're leaving on. So we have now got to this stage where the carving's been done, it's been sealed, and this has taken, well, it's taken a while actually. It's taken quite a while, because you've got to bear in mind you have to dry this wood out first. So the other thing I like to do is I like to sand it down by hand. So this one and this one and this one have all got the wand guardian faces on, and like I say, they're all hand done, so they're all very, very different. This one's very long and it looks like he's got an open mouth. See, he's got a really long nose. This one's quite long. I think he looks like he's singing almost. This one looks like he's having a bit of a smile. I think this one's my favourite. If there are any other pieces of the wood that you want to make sure aren't altered or changed in any way and protected before you sand it down, also seal those. Now I use a water-based sealant. See, I've sealed the end of this because I love the end of this. I think it's gorgeous. I use a water-based sealant called Mod Podge, and that's, so I've got all my ones up here that I've completed. So these ones are all completed. They're not in my store yet, but they are completed. And this is all hawthorn. And as you can see, I like to keep a lot of the bubbles on. And it may not look much, but they do take a while. I don't put anything on the wood. It's got that slight satiny shine because it's buffed with a cloth and nothing else, and just buffed and buffed and buffed. So, first of all, of course, you have to identify the wood that you're picking, and then prepare the wood, dry it out. I think that's all the bits of pine I've got left. One of the pine is actually in my shop already. So these I'm not doing anything with. They do have some little weevil holes on, insect holes and such like, and I like that, so they are staying. And little bits like that I don't seal until after I've done everything else. And by everything else, what I mean is, okay, so we sealed the bits that we want to seal. And that's it. And so like this bit here, I wanted to seal this because I love that. I wish I'd actually done a carving around there and made that the mouth. That would have been quite amazing. But I like this bit, so I'm leaving it. I should have sealed that bit, but that's okay for the minute. Right, so the next thing I want to do, and this isn't always necessary, with pine it is, because you get this like really thin inner bark that has to be scraped off. So I'm going to take one of my ones with the Wand Guardian, and where you have the bark left on, you want to give it a really good sand, and this will be very, very dusty. And it is hard work. This will make you sweat. Oh, the other thing I've done is I've used my knife to just whittle the ends slightly. I don't want it in a point, but I do want it rounded off. I don't want it cut off straight of the wand tip. The wand handle, I don't mind it being straight. So the wand handle, I don't mind being straight. The wand tip, I like to be slightly domed. I don't like it pointed, and I don't like it flat. So on this one, this is actually the handle, and I liked this damaged sort of piece of wood, so I didn't want to remove it. And this is the tip, which has got a crack in it, but I like that too. I mean, woods are personal, and yes, I do make mine to sell, but I do think you will get people who will buy your things because they have the same aesthetic symbolism as you. They like what you do. It's what they would have done themselves if they had the time or the knowledge or anything else. Not that I think that you need not a lot of knowledge to make wands. You do need a lot of patience. So being careful not to go over my Wand Guardian, my carving. Of course, you could do this with a machine. The only thing I do with the machine is like on the hawthorn, where they have little knobs and bumps. I like to go over those with a small sanding machine, which I showed on the last video. Not on so much these big bits. These are, especially on pine, you do it with a knife and you can whittle them down. And but for pine, when it's like this, it needs to be sanded down, and I like to do it with quite a heavy grit first, going down to a finer grit. You can see the difference there. So what I shall do is I shall carry on doing this, and then when I've got these sanded down, I'll come back, because you don't want to sit here for the next, let me see, hour and a half, 2 hours watching me sand these. So I will be back in a minute. Okay, so I sanded them down as much as I want, and I think the point here is it isn't just what you sand off, it's also what you choose to leave on. Yeah, you have to make a decision about how you want it to look, and I liked all this sort of like this mottled effect, even though most of this is going to be hidden because this is going to be the handle. So the next thing I want to do is take a cloth and just buff them over lightly, and this is just basically to get the dust off, because I don't want to get them wet. So I don't want to use a damp cloth or anything, just want to go over. And of course the other thing you have to think about is wand length. And I know, oops, sorry. I know a lot of people like to have wands that are at least 12 inches. Most of mine were between 11 and 13 inches. I've now started making them a lot longer, because some people do prefer that. So, you know, like I said, it's all to do with what you find aesthetically pleasing and what you think is good. Someone else will find good too if you're making them for other people. Now this, if I remember rightly, was simply a piece that broke off of a very, very long piece, and I decided to keep it and make it into a small wand, and it will be a small wand. I'll get rid of the rubbish. Right, the other thing I would like to mention, and I said it before, if you're making your own wands, any whittling that you do, not so much the sanding because you get the grit of the sandpaper in it, but certainly any whittling you do and all the wood that you get off, save it. All the bark that you take off, save it, because you can use it in spell workings and magical workings, so that's always worth saving. And you know, you may not get a lot, but you'll get enough to do a few spells anyway. Right, so like I said, the next job is to decide what's going to be the handle, what's going to be the point, the tip of the wand, and for most times I think that's pretty much, you know, a done deal. You can look at it and say, oh yeah, that's definitely one or the other. And if you want to seal them, now's the time to do it. Now, lots of people like to wire wrap crystals on both ends of their wands. I sometimes do a tiny crystal chip wire wrap at the end. I'm trying to find one now. I know I've got one in here somewhere. I think there's one in here. Yeah. See, and that is a tiny crystal chip wire wrapped. And I do like to keep them quite simple. So because this was wire wrapped in silver, I ordered a silver thread to wire wrap here. And there are two ways that I think are easiest to wrap the handle if you're going to wrap the handle and not leave it just as bark, which I have done on one of my wands. Okay, so these are the two different ways of wrapping, and there is the plain wrap, which you can do with one or more colours. This one's done with 3 colours. I've used the black, the dark grey, the light grey, the dark grey and the black. Or you can use just one and wrap it this way, which is, it's a type of macrame knot, which I think I've just shown my age with actually. Okay, so that one goes in there. No, it doesn't. That one goes in there. I know which ones go in which, because when I make these wand sleeves, if they're small enough, they go in the boxes. This is as big as the box can get. If I make them with a little sleeve, I choose one of the charms and repeat it on the bag. No, I don't know what I've done with that one. So, did I put that back? What did I do with that? See, this is, it's late at night and I'm all the dither. Okay. Right, so the 2 ways of wrapping. Right, let me get... This is how bad I am. I haven't got even out the string that I wanted to do the wrapping with. So... Right, wrapping. You can use a thicker string or you can use embroidery threads. Obviously embroidery threads come in lots of different colours. You can see these are the ones that I've used already. These are all empty and these are the ones I've got left to use. Or let's get some more. You can get lots of jute strings in different colours. And so 2 ways of wrapping a wand handle. You need to get a big length of string. Okay, and I will show you on these, even though these will be sealed, so you know I won't be putting these on permanently. This is just the way I do it, because I like my wands to be quite simple. So you need to get quite a long tail on your string. So this is the end bit, the tail bit, and then tie it around your wand. Okay, now the easiest way to do the next bit is to take your tail and then use a bit of masking tape to seal it to the end. So take the tail, take it to the end, bit of masking tape, done a lot better than that. Oh, it's covered in dust, that's why. Oh dear. Okay, so you just stick it to the end and then you take the rest of your string and you just wrap it round like so. Okay, so you just keep wrapping it round, making sure that it's nice and tight, really keep it tight, and then when you reach the end, great, couldn't stick it now, I can't unstick it. Right, when you reach the end, all you do is you take your tail and the bit that you've been winding round and you tie this in a knot, and then you can put charms on the end. Okay, the other way to do it is exactly the same at the beginning. So you tie it round and you stick this up with a piece of masking tape out the way, because I think I've just finished that one. And then you do a macrame knot. So it is sometimes easier to keep it on here because you don't know how much string you'll need. So take that one out of the way. Right, to do a simple macrame knot with one piece of string, you take, right, so this is tied round and I put this is my main ball of string. So we can ignore the tail bit here, that's up and out the way, just pretend it's not there. But you do want to keep it inside your working. So you take this string and you make a loop just behind. So all I've done is I've just made a loop. Now you're going to take the ball of string and take it over the wand and through the loop that you've made. Okay, and then pull it tight. Okay, and then you keep doing that So you make a loop, and you always do, the loop is always going on the same side. So I always like to think of it as I'm making a little D. There's my D. So you make a loop. Okay, get my string. This is all coming unstuck. You just wind that round there for a minute to keep it out of the way. Okay, and I'm going to cut this off because I'm only doing this for show. Okay, and I'm going to tie a knot in the end here, so you know this one is the one that's usually attached to the ball of wool or string or whatever you're going to use. Okay, so once again, you make a loop behind your wand, take the ball of string, the main part of the string, over the top and put it through the loop and pull it through. Okay, and then pull it tight. And you keep doing that, and this will then, as you pull it tight, I don't know if you can see that, the knots are going up this way, so the knots will end up in a spiral, and that's how I wrap my handles. That's the two different ways. But like I said, before you do the handle, if you're going to seal it, which is what I'm going to do with these. I only do it with the pine because the pine is the only ones that I've done the carvings in, and there is quite a lot on here that I want to keep. There's like these all little lines here, I don't know if you can see them, but those I want to make sure they're there in the wood. So I am going to seal all of these. I love this bit at the end here. It's another bit where something's got into the wood, and probably a little mite or a beetle or like I said, a parasitic plant or something, and it's gone, and it's left beautiful patterns in the wood, and I want these to stay, so I will be sealing over this, and that's it. But like I said, the first thing you remember is find your wood. If you need to identify it, identify it. If you're not finding it on the ground, these are all found on the ground, because the pine trees that these come from are very, very tall, and the branches are 30, 40, 50 feet above the ground, so you have to wait for them to fall anyway. And I would suggest leaving some sort of token offering. You know, don't just take and not leave something behind. And you can either leave something behind for the birds or the animals, so some berries and such like, or something for the fairies. They like anything sparkly, anything like that. So think about what you're doing. I know some people prick their finger and leave a drop of blood, but you know, each to their own. So find the wood, gather the wood, dry the wood, and like I said, then from then it's all a matter of really looking at the wood and deciding how you want to carry on, what you want to take off, what you want to leave behind, how long you want the wand to be. I'm going to have difficulties undoing this, aren't I? It's a good knot. So yeah, and that is another quick, I wouldn't even call it a lesson, I call it, this is how I do things in a rambling sort of way, and everything is really, really dusty now. I also would like to mention, and it's not just because I sell them, my own wands, I do the same way. I don't glue the handles, the string handles, I never glue them down, just in case, which is why I tie them the way I do. And the reason I don't glue them down is just in case that I ever want to change them, or the person who has them wants them changed. So it's best. And please remember, whilst you're doing all of this, first of all, as you can see, it's affected my hands quite a lot. but you're going to ruin a few nails, that's for sure. You may even get a few bruises and blisters and cuts. But the other thing is, if you're working with sawdust, please be aware that it can affect your chest quite badly. I don't know if you can see, this has got a lovely coating of dust, and this will have to be carefully cleaned. This, by the way, was an idea by Ember HoneyRaven. She did something very, very similar. She had these ring holders, and I get them off of AliExpress. They are $1.50 each. They're really cheap. They're plastic, and you then have a look to see what all the symbols are and what palmistry hand you want, and then you make a palmistry hand. And this was done with Dovecraft permanent markers. I wish I had a black because I hate pink, and I would have done it in black and purple. And all the symbols on the hand that I didn't have room to put down what they meant, I put here and listed the 3 meanings around. So lovely idea, and you can see the symbols are on the fingers, and I wrote on the edges what the symbols are. This side, the shape of the thumb on this side is to do with logic. The shape of the thumb here is to do with willpower. So yeah, very, very simple, very, very easy to do. Fantastic idea. I will put the link down to Ember HoneyRaven's channel below, and this was quite a recent video I did that she did, I think, so that should be quite easy to find. And yeah, absolutely brilliant idea. But yes, that is Ember HoneyRaven's idea. And like I said, these aren't the only shaped hands you can get, by the way. I've got a few more coming, and like I said, I'm terrible at drawing. I was going to swear then. I'm absolutely terrible at drawing, and my handwriting is atrocious, but I think it turned out okay. It's not too messy, it's not too untidy, and this was all freehand. So there we go, wands, palmistry hands. And yes, I'm going to finish these up now. They will have 2 coats of Mod Podge, and then I will do the handles, and they will go into my Etsy store, the same as all the Hawthorn ones that need to go on. And that's it. So you can see a lot of work goes into these. If you include the drying time, it takes months and months and months if you want to dry them out properly. But even if you say a wand without a carving that just needs to be done, it's a day's work. It really is a day's work if you want to do it. Something this simple easily could take you a day if you include like the handle wrapping and everything. So this is why, as I've said before, I don't give them away for free. But there you go, wand making 101 really, I guess. So thank you for watching, witchy people. Hope I didn't ramble on too much, and I hope that, you know, either take a look at my store and other people that sell wands, or use this as a bit of a basic to have a go yourself. Thanks for watching. Bye bye for now.